out here on public land. And we already had to climb up a straight up and down mountain to get up to the top of this. And that's just the beginning. So it's gonna get interesting. We want to come back out here and change these cameras out and check some of these other ones. Try and get a cell camera up so we can get a little more up-to-date footage of what's going on out here. See if it's gonna be worth our time. Try and narrow it down when it gets closer to season. Thought I was out here, walk all the way back in here and check everything. So we're going about a mile and a half, 2 miles, clear back into some really gnarly terrain. We got Nick out here. got him.
Trying to breathe.
Yeah, trying to get him to catch back up with mountain goat Brett up here. So we'll check back in with you in a little bit. So the good thing about the area we're in, we got these old oil well roads where the oil company comes in. They check the pumps and the wells back here, real deep in the woods. So some of the access after you get through the beginning of it and get on this path makes it a lot easier to get back to where you're looking for. And I really like to walk this all the way out the other end, just to see maybe it might be a longer walk, but an easier walk. We climb a mountain to get up in here. I don't foresee me be able to do that with a tree stand, even though Brett walks around with the saddle and that helps him a lot, but not me. Well, we're back in our spot where we had our wind blowing in different directions from that last video. Out here on this public piece, we had some bedding, a couple beds right up in this area. Come back and check this camera and see what it produces. Went out there, we had some does and some other deer that was hitting a horsefly. Had some does and some other deer hitting scrapes and stuff we put the cameras on earlier. Got a few turkeys. This one I really have the most expectation for, so I think they're traveling back and forth through here. It's almost like a natural funnel. It's like a little open gap right in this area, coming down off a hill. There's just geographic changes and the way the land lays out, the trees and brush and shrubbery. But we'll end up seeing what's on this camera. Get back with you. So we just stopped and looked at the other spot in the bedding. It's probably about 150 yards that way. Now we're back into the same area where we picked up that 10 point from the week before. Like I was saying earlier, the only reason we really come back out here is we wanted to put a cell camera back up so we can have like a real time of what's going on in the area. So we moved the camera from that tree there because it was facing back towards us this way. And when he was getting that 10 point, he was walking out this trail right here. So we moved the camera facing the opposite way, right up that trail, and see what he catches. We're gonna see if he ends up coming through here. Then on that last camera pull, looks like we have to go back and look at it again when we get back home, but it looks like we got a pretty big 12 point with a giant frame on them. So we have two mature deer that are in here. Looks like a big 10 and a 12. And basically how this is all came about, where Brett just came out here early in the spring and shed hunted all this and has walked majority of this property and has came across these big sheds, and we're just trying to get back on these deer for the season so we can get in here and try and knock one down. But that's been the big factor of how to come out here on these big tracts of public land and get on one. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes come out. It seems like the best thing to do is come out here and shed hunt. If you find sheds, get on the nearest deer sign that you find, and try triangulate one down, figure out the best way in, your best wind, the most opportune time to come in to get on them. All right, we're down here at the last camera. Well, first one we visited last time. Looks like we either got a thunderstorm moving in on us or moving around us. I don't know either one, so it might get interesting before we get out of here. But the other camera we checked on the opposite side of where we're getting a lot of that buck sign and footage of them bucks walking through there. We had one of the 8 points come through. Kind of see the direction he's working his way up into that woods where we have the camera at. But the other 2 deer, we haven't found them from where we've been triangulating all the cameras around the position. But we're getting closer. So that's another fail on that camera. Nothing on that one, Brett. Just some little bucks, some coyotes. So the only other option we got these deer, we ain't got a camera, is either on top of this hill, off the left side of that other patch that we was in over there, or straight that direction. So if we get closer to season, we'll start moving them around. He pulled that one.
Yeah.
Maybe take it on top of the hill.
Put that in my bag.
We're gonna walk. Yeah, we're gonna walk right up this hill, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, we'll check in with you before we get out of the woods here. Hopefully we don't get rained on, thunderstorm. So see you in a minute. Well, we just worked our way. There's kind of it's like a razorback that runs through here and has like a little bit of a saddle dip into it, but it starts getting really thick as we come back over. We checked that other camera and we walked up over a hill and it came up on this razorback. And we just kind of worked our way through. There's some like deer sign, rubs, all kinds of beds all the way down through here. We got to these oaks right here. This one don't seem unless the acorns are up higher and we can't see them, but there is a massive amount of acorns and all these other oaks down through here. So we're going to set up another camera right in here, and actually you can get one thing we do look for like a tree stand setup is you get into like an oak tree, their leaves stay on when we hit frost and you get later in the season. There's only a few trees that hold their leaves for a long period of time that helps you keep cover. So you can get a tree stand up in this tree right here and you'll still have the leaves for cover and like a backdrop, so you're never silhouetted up in the tree. It helps a bunch, especially when you get up on like a ridge and a deer's walking down this way. You look up at a tree and you ain't got nothing in the background. You'll get silhouetted real easy when the leaves fall off. So you get up in one of these oak trees like this, it'll help to conceal you a lot better. Just see them walking through here. So another camera set up right there. Kind of overlook these acorns falling as the season comes along. See if we do want to hang a tree stand up in here. Which right now, I'm not sure what the wind is, but it is blowing right in our faces down through this way. So might have to improvise on that, because if you get up in that tree, you might have to see which way the deer are walking into this. That's why these trail cameras help a ton. See if you got deer coming in from this way, coming in from this direction, depending on what wind is happening. So help us set up. Might have to do like maybe a ground spot back over in here if we got a wind that's coming off this way. Deer skirting down through the side of these oaks, or maybe just coming straight up over the top or out this way. So we'll try to look at different possibilities of how to set up in here if we do end up getting something, which we'll check back in with you guys. We got a lot of good things that came out of this. We weren't planning on coming back until about a few weeks before season started, but we had to come out and set up that trail camera. I'm glad we did, because we got a lot of intel off today. I don't think we did too much damage. I don't think we chased a bunch of deer out, because we're out here in the middle of the day. It's noon. So we'll get back with you and see what else we find. We're walking out a little different way than we walked in. We came up. It's just crazy how big these high walls are. Like, that is a long ways down. A really long ways. And we're way above treetops that are mature trees down in the bottom. Really cool. Just gotta watch where you step out here. Could be 100 foot off a cliff. So, well, we're headed back. Going back to the vehicle. Get up out of here. We got all the cameras checked. A couple more set up. Moved. Just adjusting things slowly. And basically going to be the end of everything for today. Go back and analyze all these SD cards we pulled. And see exactly what happened, what walked by. Get a little better inventory of what's actually back in there. So, see you on the next one. Well, we just got back. It's almost dark.
Did almost a 4 mile trek?
Yeah, it's four or five. I mean, I forgot to turn on the tracking. Like
Public land. Absolutely appreciate you bringing me out. Learned a lot actually, like of what you guys, because you guys hunt public land quite a bit. The best part of it, I guess, is what I like about it, is that this didn't just start today or last week. This started February, March, you know?
Yeah.
Brett went in there and found that shed, right? Tried to isolate this buck. Tried to get in his bed, try to find where he's at, and went from there. What do you run? How many cameras do you run?
I got like 10 or 11 out there right now. He's got
10 cameras, 11 cameras, and he circled from where he found the shed, and he's trying to close in on his routes and his bedding area. Something I've never done. You know, I've never put out 10 cameras in the isolated area to try to figure out.
it. Just where he came from was, I mean, he had private tracts of land that he had permission property that he's able to get onto, and then he just got closed out of them. I mean, here in Ohio, I mean, there's a lot of people that lease land. It's hard, even for me and you. We got a couple of small tracts that we're able to get on to, like, permission property. Thankful for it, but he's got closed out so much to where, he can't hunt any of his private property anymore. And the only thing you got to do when you love to hunt is go out and find what you can. But he's took all his resources and figured out a way to get out there and tried one thing. I mean, there ain't stuff out there. I mean, there's tips and stuff on how to hunt public deer, but like where we live at, there isn't a bunch. Like we have like some really major like geographic changes, and when you go out in the landscape we have, it isn't. You ain't hunting crops. You're hunting deer that are on briars and beds
and you're hunting acorn flats and
wind shifts from like a top of a hill to the bottom of a hill. And he's got, and the main way he finds to get in the right area was just by getting on sheds. He goes out there and shed hunts 10, 15 miles a day, walks a lot of it. I mean, we both do it. Just when one person gets onto a deer and he finds a good shed, gives me a holler like, hey, let's go out there and get this figured out.
Yeah. Actually learned a lot, man. You guys covered a lot of ground. We covered a lot of ground today. The trail cam placements was pretty superb. I like the mock scrape with the
grapevine.
The grapevine on it. You know, he got some good pictures off that. Just all around, man. Brett, he's putting in the time. He's isolating the deer. You know, he's got a target buck in mind. A couple target bucks out there, actually. So just the whole experience today, just going out there, seeing what you guys see compared to what I look at on, you know, when I go out scouting, is awesome because I'm learning every day. You know, like, I'm learning from you guys. I'm learning from what I read, what I see on YouTube. It's just I don't know. It was pretty cool. You know, and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, you're obviously one of our good buddies. It ain't like we're out there to just do it and keep it a secret.
Right. The whole shared knowledge part of it is what's great to me, because there's a lot of people that won't bring you out there and try to teach you stuff, you know.
So it really wasn't a teaching. It was just like a different experience because it's something that we're both really getting into. I mean, he's figuring out, like, he ended up getting on a good buck last year, which he didn't get on film, but we did the story to it and let him tell a story about how he got onto it. But it's really way more complicated than just going out there sitting in a tree stand. I mean, he's getting out there running all these cameras where he's found the sheds, seeing the bedding, seeing like the deer scat, and looking at edges of woods, ridges. There's a lot to read there, and then the more cameras you run, you say, okay, this spot's more hot, this one's not. It's a lot to go through, and all you do is what we're starting to figure out is you start with a big circle, and you just slowly, after you find out where the deer is. Like right now, he's got pictures of the deer. We hit them in one spot, and you go 100 yards, you're not hitting them another spot. Right. So then it starts closing down the triangular motion. We get on our maps, our Onyx hunt stand. We use about every app we can. We don't know what works best yet. We're trying to get what's better for whatever needs. There isn't nobody that's much different than the other. But after you get on a map and you look, okay, we're seeing them there. You try to look at every kind of aspect, like elevation. Okay, it's 900 feet elevation here. Came down, we're seeing more deer sign at 600 feet. Like trying to record that and keep it to be able to say, okay, this is where we're seeing this deer, this mature deer or whatnot. It's not like we're going out there to try to find. In Ohio we have really good deer down here where we're at. So we're not really looking for rack size. We're looking for maturity of a deer. You try to get up in the 4.5, 5.5, 6.5-year-old deer, and it's just the way he's gone out there and find the sheds. It's really dialed in the way.
He's putting in the time.
Yeah, a lot of time, a lot of miles
on foot and boots, putting in the time. I guess one of the bigger things that I like today is like when we was out there, and we was on this side of the hill, and we could feel the breeze coming in, and as soon as we shifted up a shelf, just rolling, you could feel it rolling around the hill, and you take note of that, like, hey, the wind's gonna swirl here, you know what I mean? As far as stand placement and stuff, like you take all that into effect, and
it's kind of hard. Sometimes you just have to put yourself in. Hunting's still luck.
Right.
You got to put yourself in a swirl where we live. Sometimes you can't help to get that perfect wind every time.
Exactly.
But what we're seeing is where the deer are using that their advantage.
Right.
And so they'll come in. Yeah, they'll come down. You'll see where they might have a bed here, then go over 100 yards and have another bed. Not saying it's the same deer, but most likely probably is. Just moving that little bit. Just from learning other people, they say that like these deer this time of year, they're not traveling. They have no reason to go out and run like they do in the rut. They're sitting in a place where they have shelter, food, and security. And they don't need to leave that this time of year until like either the food source changes, the security changes, or their shelter might change. So a lot of the stuff we do now, these deer may disappear, but the way we run the cameras will keep them up. So we might catch them, okay, they went this direction, get back in this area, and we looked at all the food sources that they might be going to after one dissipates. We'll go to the other one, like, hey, he's back in this area now. So we're dealing with thousands of acres of public land. We're really fortunate to have that around. That's stuff you can't do on private property.
Because you only get small tracts.
Yeah, you can only utilize what you have in front of your small tract of private properties. You can't go across lines. But out in public, you do have some of an advantage because you can go a long ways and track these deer back down. And he's been really good about doing that, which will get better over time. It's also using your input when you come out there and look and see what's going on. Like, hey, this is something I may have learned about deer when I was in the woods. And giving us the idea or the information, we just collaborate all together, and it makes everything better for everybody.
Yeah, and another good aspect of today that I learned, like, we had that trail cam set up, and we checked that cam, and we noticed, like, the deer was skirting it. Not necessarily seeing the trail cam, but it skirted the trail cam, maybe because it wasn't comfortable with what was going on in that area.
And we've already moved it one time because we thought that.
Right, so we adjusted to get better pictures of this trail or these deer coming through these trails, and
just looking for that direction he might be going and why he's going in that direction.
Right.
Then you go out the direction he's going, like, okay, why is he over here?
Yeah, you look at a food source, a water hole, whatever they got going on over there. And
we live the way we live for a reason, and they do the same thing.
Right.
So
that's cool, man. I'm learning every day, and I do appreciate you guys bringing me out.
I appreciate you coming. That's not an easy hike. We went straight up, straight down, back through brush, picking briars off of us. It was a good time. We're going to go back out again, too. You're coming back again. Then we bring Brett in. He comes in and helps us with our private property stuff.
Yep.
And
whatever. But I think we're going to try to put together like a public hunt where we all go out there like a challenge,
Public
either
hunt challenge.
out there somewhere where none of us have seen before, and take all these things that we're learning and try to see what really works.
See if we can get one down on the ground.
It's a team effort, but
it's definitely fun. Thanks for tuning in with us, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, Nick's got a channel. It's McWilliams.
McWilliams Family Outdoors. Yeah.
McWilliams Family Outdoors.
Yep.
And we'll be collabing like this. I mean, we're all actually, to be honest, we're all veterans. And,
all of us, all three of us, were Marine Corps veterans, and then we live relatively local to each other. So
just fun. I mean, we've been pretty tight, and we're on the same page, and we just want to make things work.
We want to see mature deer down.
Yeah, so appreciate you sticking with us.
Stick with us.